Check.
Hey guys.
All right, so we're on the countdown clock. What's up, Kristen? You good? Kristen, you good?
I'm good. How are you doing, Rock?
Nah, man, as long as I get a good mic check, I'm cool. You sound good.
I'm good.
I bet. We're going to get there in a second.
Cool.
You know what, gang? Let's play the music. Yeah, it's the NYCHA show. Get your watch parties together. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Let's get this thing started. It is now 4:02. We're on time. And we got a special guest today. I ain't seen my homegirl in a long time. You know, Stan Morse and Saundrea, they keep me buried in the studio, so I don't get to get out much. That's how they do you. Yeah. Yeah, we're getting it started. Nice and easy, y'all. Once again, get your watch party started. We got a big show today. I got my man Stan Morse in the building. Saundrea Coleman's in the building. And Stan's running for Queensboro president, y'all. It's gonna be crazy. Yep. All right, you know I'm here. Once again, make sure you share your Facebook stuff. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you share that. It's the holidays. Christmas is happening. New Year's is happening. My birthday's happening. Oh, I got issues. Oh, listen. After the 25th, I am totally on some BS. I'm just letting you know. My birthday is January 2nd, and I'm just going to be foolish until then. Turning 54. It's a big year for me. I'll tell you the truth. Every year is a big year for me. I don't care. When I turned 42, I was like, it's a big year. Just being alive is dope. That's all I care about. All right, y'all. So we're going to hit the button. Transitioning in. And bomb. Cracking the mics. Yeah. Oh, my God. Wow. You know what? Another week of this one-nighter thing.
One nighter.
And how long we been going with this show?
About almost seemed like a year. Has it been a year yet? Not quite.
It's been a year.
Maybe 7-8 months.
Yeah, we doing like, what did we start? No, we didn't. Yeah, you know what? we did it over the summer too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been doing that.
Yeah, you know what? And I got to tell you, I look at the numbers. I look at the numbers on Spotify and all those places, and what we do on Facebook particularly. And I'm proud. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we really get people engaged and involved, and they watch the show and they participate in the show, and we become a little small movement.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Which is really nice. When you think about, an idea, and that's really all it was in the beginning. It was just an idea, me and Stan kind of kicking it and talking. And then now here we are, 7 months later, and we got people watching.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People pay attention.
Faithfully.
And we're making a difference.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Which is really nice. You know what I'm
Public
saying?
housing is a hot topic.
It is.
Not just in New York City, but throughout the
country.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it was a good idea.
Mhm.
I think it was a great idea. So this week, what did I do this week? I didn't do much. I was in the dungeon, because Stan and Saundrea had me in the dungeon, and I was, I'm upgrading the shows and using different software. So, you're going to start to see the look change a lot on the shows now, because I'm developing new stuff. I like to I like to change things. I don't like to get complacent. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of all I did really this week. And I taught. And Saundrea, what's going on with you? Because you are the super activist.
Greetings all. It is a blessing to be here once again. One NYCHA podcast team. One NYCHA.
One NYCHA. One team, one
right?
NYCHA.
Yeah,
That's
one
right.
team, one night, baby.
That's
That's
right.
what we do.
So, I'm always checking on the seniors. Thursday was pretty good, but let me just jump into Monday too. Monday, I co-chaired our very first social justice committee meeting with the Community Board 8, which I'm a member of. So that was really exciting. Give me some.
Yes.
And you get the horn.
Okay. So then Thursday, I was invited to speak at a ribbon cutting ceremony with my council member, Ben Kalos, of District 5. And I was also, gave a quote for the press release. And it's an initiative that is going to help people that are suffering with, food insecurities. It's also an initiative for homeless Manhattanites. They can get mail there. They can do resume and job resources. There's a room for clothing. So that's going to be really great. And I was just humbled to be there and speak as well. Today marks our 1 year anniversary. So that's going to be, here's some feedback.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So today marks 1 year from the residents of homes in Isaacs Towers.
Right.
We actually filed our HP action lawsuit on December 13th. You were there, Stan.
Yes, right.
It was on a
Yep.
Friday.
That's right.
So let me correct it. Isaac Houses and Homes Towers.
Mm-hmm.
So, and residents, we came together and we filed that HP lawsuit, and we are holding NYCHA, the city, accountable for repairs. So this is our anniversary.
Wonderful.
So this is powerful.
Gotta
for
give us some
us.
for that. That's powerful.
And UES for BLM, we are embarking on our 200th day, which will be Friday. And I already secured a guest. I'm not going to say who it is because it's not out like that yet, but we secured a guest speaker. Blessings to them, and thank you for talking to me today and securing that. So we have a guest speaker. And today is our 195th day.
That's incredible.
You know what? That is
Straight-
dedication.
That's incredible. Throughout the winter, y'all still doing it. That's amazing.
Fighting for Black lives.
That's
you know?
beautiful.
So, yeah.
Stan Morse, I'm switching to you.
All right.
Oh, let me switch the camera. There we go. Booyah.
There goes Stan.
Stan.
Yes.
All right, what's going on, Stan? What's happening this week, man?
Well, I just want
What
to
you
say
do?
I'm very excited to announce that they finally have gas at 1-4 Astoria Boulevard. So this has been a long fight, like over 3 months of bringing attention to the issue. Big shout out to every Astoria Mutual Aid and all the organizations, along with the Justice for All Coalition, that faithfully went, to the building and brought the media attention. Big shout out also to Monica Morales, constantly keeping the issue in the news. So I'm very excited to announce it. Thankfully, after all this time, the gas is on. So Christmas came early for those residents. I'm really excited for that. And we're about to also have our lawsuit. We're going to meet with our attorneys this week, Queens Legal Services, Robert Sandeman. Big shout out to Robert Sandeman. We're going to hear from him this week to find out the updates on where we are with the lawsuit. And this is for Queensbridge North. So Queensbridge North, we're coming for you. After that, there'll be Queensbridge South and Ravenswood and Astoria as well, and maybe some other developments as well. So we're following in the footsteps of Holmes Isaacs, really hold NYCHA accountable. And I'm really excited about that. And we've been having also some teachings this week, led by our guest, Kristen Hackett, about the blueprint, which is, I let her get more into detail with it, but it's definitely NYCHA's latest scam or scheme, to uproot people from their homes. NYCHA residents, we're going to fight back. And we're going to begin applying pressure to these state senators, because they are the ones who actually can kill this whole thing. So I'm glad to see that activists have a way to win. We always fight and fight. Sometimes we never win, it's a challenge, but when we can win, we will win, so the blueprint is going to be defeated. We're going to actually demand that NYCHA is fully funded, which is what they should have been doing in the first place, instead of coming up with all these other ways to, try to bring money in and private investors and all of that. So, I just want to say I'm very excited for that. And we're going to keep on fighting.
Yeah. NYCHA's true to this. They messed.
Yeah, they're trying to do this in the middle of a pandemic. It's insulting, for them to go so hard, with hearings and all kind of stuff, and folks can't even get on get on and get access to it. It's not in all languages, so you leaving out a whole bunch of people that don't speak English, so how are you trying to say that you really having true community engagement,
especially the seniors too.
Right. So it's just really a shame, but I'm glad, I'm excited, because we have a way to win. And we have a way to win. And we're going to find out what these state senators say, and also these council people, what are they saying? What are they going to say?
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's dope. Well, okay. You know what? So now it's time for us to bring on our special guest, right? She does a lot of work for the Justice for All. I see her, toiling, really, because I'm on the emails that you guys send out, and I see her working, and she's really been a big part of the organization. And she came on one of my earlier shows when we first started, right? Back last year when you all came in, I think it was like September. Right. And she came and she spoke about, what she was doing and so on and so forth. And you can really see and hear the dedication in her voice and what she is and what she's doing and what she believes in. And she puts in the work. And, a couple of weeks there, she was harassing me. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, Kristen. She was harassing me for the Stan Morse video of him of a show that we did about you running for Queensborough president. And you know what? She was right to harass me. And then I guess she harassed you.
Well, now actually I got to send the video. So now the ball's in my court. No, it's the ball's in my court
You
now.
got
So,
it last week.
I know. But
that's right.
I got to make sure I send it. I'm not sure if I did. If I didn't send it, Kristen, it's coming today.
And I could tell Stan was under pressure, right? Because Stan came in sweating. He's like, you got to send the video. He pulled out a handkerchief. He's like, you got to send the video. Yeah. And he would let me leave until I sent Kristen this video. So I knew she really had wanted it, and she, got fed up with no response from me, really. You know what I'm saying? And she came to you, and we got it done. So without further ado,
and I would mention she's along with Yvette Kemp, my co-campaign manager, two of the smartest people I know. Especially when it comes to policy and all those things. So you guys are in for a very informative chat.
Right.
So here it is. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Kristen Hackett.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going good. What's up, Kristen?
Wow, that was quite the introduction there. You
Absolutely.
light me on fire, huh?
Well deserved. Well deserved.
Come on, man. You be putting in that work. So what's going on? What's happening with you? You were also an activist, and we'll get into the blueprint, but I would like to know your history. So let's tell the people about who you are and what you're about.
Yeah. So I live in Western Queens, and I've been working with the Justice for All Coalition for the last 3 years, I think. And I started working with them when I just moved here, but I had been working up in the Bronx and in East New York as well, when they were going through the rezonings. And when I got displaced again and moved to Astoria, and I had been serially displaced by bad development deals all around New York City, which is why I got involved in some of this coalition building work. And so I joined Justice for All and kind of, I don't know, we just hit it off. It's such a great organization. And, we've been fighting not only the rezoning in Long Island City, but Sunnyside Yards, the BQX, the Annabelle Basin rezoning, the Amazon fight. And in the last couple of years, we've really turned our attention to what's been going on in public housing, especially with these privatization plans that are coming through. And as you guys know, Justice for All Coalition's roots and base and leadership really are all in public housing. So that's always been a big part of the work that we've been doing. Along the side with all of this organizing, I'm also a graduate student at the Graduate Center, CUNY. And I've been doing research and teaching on housing and urban development and capitalism and racial capitalism and all these things. And so I'm also coming to the work, the activist work, with that kind of background as well. And that's, I think, what I bring to the analysis of the blueprint plan that we're going to be talking about today, and what these privatization plans are. And I think what the broader ramifications of the plans are in terms of the mass displacement that might happen, and how that fits into like sort of the longer historical trajectory of, the serial displacement of the Black community. So I think that's mostly my background, I guess, and how.
So with all this work you're putting in, right? Because you're putting in a lot of work. What is the end result for you? Like, do you want to run for office one day? Like, where's the end game? Because there's got to be an end game to everything, right? So where is it for you? Like,
well, I've never been much of an end game person. I am always just trying to continue to do this work and be in this fight, and finding different ways of doing that, even during my last like 10 or 11 years here in New York. But right now I am trying to finish my dissertation. That is like sort of a big goal, and it's a big research project. And I'm, the culmination of a doctoral degree. And yeah, hoping to finish that in the next year. And I am writing about some of what I'm also talking about with public housing and these privatization or really financialization plans.
So you might be actually sort of writing a book, maybe, yeah? Yeah, that's tremendous.
That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome, because the story hasn't been told, and you're an insider. You're in there. You're in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? So it would be nice for someone to actually write a book about this situation, that people can pick up,
Absolutely,
and read, because it's a story that's an untold story, really. We try to tell it every week, but I think that's a good idea.
And the story really includes all of these initiatives, like the work that the Justice for All Coalition is doing, and Holmes Isaac Coalition, and the One NYCHA show, then what, Fulton Houses residents are organizing, it's also looking at like sort of these efforts that people are engaging, and what their goals are in this, fight.
Yeah, this is definitely a long game, because I've been in it since 2015.
Yep. Yeah, right.
It's a long
It's an intergenerational fight,
Yeah.
We're in a war.
And that's exactly what it is. It's a war. Call it what it is.
So, exactly. Kristen, sorry. My speech is wacky. Tell me about the blueprint. Tell the people about the blueprint. I want to know what the blueprint is, because I don't know. So I'm just letting you know that I'm going to ask you questions while you're doing it if I don't understand.
Definitely, please do tell me to clarify. So the blueprint is the latest privatization plan that NYCHA has come up with. for the public housing developments in New York City. So it's in addition to infill, which is what we're fighting at Homes Isaac Towers, but it's also in addition to the RAD program that we've heard about. And really the infill plan is like on ice right now. So the two main privatization plans are RAD and the Blueprint. And the main like shared, really this is the end of public housing, because all of the units, if these plans continue and go through, will all be transitioned to Section 8. And we talk a lot about whether or not this is privatization. Both of these plans open up the properties to private investment. That's what's happening. You know, whether or not that's like privatization, or I also use the term financialization, because of the financial practices that they're using and how they mirror what they've done
so
with
I'm
other.
going to ask this right. I need clarification real quick. So are you saying in the privatization, right, that they're opening up to investors, that investors individually could own a project? Is that what's happening? Could own a housing development? Is that what's happening?
Well, let me give a quick overview of RAD, and then I'll talk about the Blueprint, because they are doing it in different ways.
Okay.
So RAD transfers the units to Section 8 and management by private management companies. And we actually have a full list of the private developers and management companies that are now sort of controlling certain properties. And RAD is planned for 62,000 units across the city. And so these buildings are being transferred. They're being opened up to private investment, but they're also going to be managed by private management companies like Wavecrest. There's also like the number 2 and number 3 on the worst landlord evictors list are also now in control of a large portion of these properties, and things like that. So that's RAD. Then the Blueprint does this very differently. They actually just create like and I'll explain it more clearly, but I think of it as loan sharks. They're basically going to sell debt to private investors, and that's how they're going to raise the money for the properties. Me?
Okay.
Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah, no, I'm just doing something.
I
I
wasn't sure if you were talking to me or not.
It's just the rock logic.
Yeah, that's all. I'm just working on something because we have a new guest in the studio. She just walked in. So go ahead, keep going.
Oh, sorry. So the way that I would explain the Blueprint is like in 5 steps, but well, in general, they're opening the properties up to private investment. There's not private management that's happening. What they're doing is they're creating a new state agency that's called they're calling it a public trust. And that's what the hearing was on Tuesday. NYCHA has created legislation to create this public trust, and state representatives have to vote on that legislation in order to approve the trust. That's kind of the first step of the Blueprint of this larger private investment scheme, or scam, as Stan pointed out. And so this public trust is really kind of like a financial institution. It's going to be headed up by financial elite. Like we know of other institutions that mirror this, like the EDC or the Economic Development Corporation. And the folks at the head of that are James Patchett, which is Goldman Sachs. And that actually agency has always been headed up by bankers. So we're expecting similar thing in this public trust. And that in and of itself is dangerous because they don't look at these properties as homes and communities where people are like living their lives, right? They're looking at it as an asset. And even in Greg Russ's town halls, he called it an asset portfolio repeatedly. He's not talking about people's homes anymore. And this public trust would be headed by a 9-person board also. That's like the main oversight or overseeing body. Now, only 4 of those would be NYCHA residents. 2 of them would be appointed by the mayor, and 2 of them are appointed by the CEO of NYCHA. So they don't have any real power because they're always in a minority in the vote. But also, who are these folks going to be? They're not popularly elected by NYCHA residents, and there's only 4 of them. Right? Yeah. You know, so that on its face is disturbing, to say the least.
Can I just say something? I think that's very scary that they're willing to do it like that, because they can hand select who's in their pocket.
Absolutely.
And as I've been saying, the next chair, I've been saying this for a long time. The next chair should be a public housing resident, but not someone, and sorry, not nobody that's working already in government, because at the end of the day, when I say government, like for elected official, their strings can be pulled. They can, we need somebody that's really have their feet on the ground.
Independent.
Yeah. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think that's at the hearing, we heard a lot about residents asking for resident management and more control. And I could see even more than just one person, right? Why isn't that like a major governing body with representation from multiple developments? And not just, and I mean, the blueprint, not in the context of the blueprint, because this is a bad plan in general, but
Right.
in terms of governance of NYCHA, I mean, why are residents not at the forefront of that? Anyway, so the public trust is bad for these reasons that I just kind of mentioned. But then it's also what they're doing with the public trust. So I described it as a financial institution. So after the public trust is created, NYCHA then has to go down to HUD to get these vouchers, and they have to lobby for the vouchers. These vouchers then become like sort of controlled by the public trust and are used to issue debt. And I'll explain that in a minute, but I first want to focus on like getting these vouchers from HUD. So they are pursuing obsolescence within Section 18 of disposition and demolition. So this means that they have to prove that the buildings are in bad enough repair that it's in the best interest of the tenants to transfer the buildings from Section 9 to Section 8. This right on its face means that it's not in NYCHA's best interest to repair the buildings right now, right? And that's a concern. And because this also, like, the time frame of this is like over the next year, they're going to be trying to do these administrative steps. So over the next year, what does that mean for repairs? And when repairs are so bad right now or in need, right? So this is very concerning. And I did point this out in an op-ed that I wrote over the summer, right after the plan came out. And during the town halls, Greg Russ did address it, but all he really said was, this isn't, we are going to continue to make repairs now, even during this time period, but that doesn't really make any sense. HUD has to come do an independent assessment of the buildings and prove that they're in bad disrepair. So it sounds like an outright lie on his part, to be honest.
Always.
Anyway, so that's one thing. So then these vouchers come back to this public trust, or like I'm saying, it's a financial institution, because what they're going to do is try to leverage these vouchers to issue bonds to take on debt. So private investors can buy the trust debt, and the collateral in this case are the vouchers and the properties. So, and again, given this setup, right, these bankers at the head of the public trust are the same folks involved in bringing the foreclosure crisis and the Great Recession. And now we're going to put them in charge of public housing.
Yeah,
right.
And so trust them.
And the foreclosure crisis was precipitated by secondary financial markets involving mortgage debt, right? So there are a lot of like complexities in terms of the financial schemas. Like, we should not be putting residents' lives in these relationships with private actors that we know are bad. And, we usually sum it up as like their profit interests, but it's their lack of care for anything else also, right? And so even though residents are in a tough situation right now with repairs, and especially during COVID, it is more precarious to put them in the hands of these private investors or in these relationships with these folks. And like Stan said, we need public money, and there is public money available. Like, we can find it. We need some political will on that front.
So now, Kristen, what happens if the investors don't, or the debt is not paid off? What is the risk if the debt doesn't get paid off? And is there any way to stop that?
Yeah. Well, so that's a good question. So Greg Russ has been drawing a lot of connections, or trying to say that this public trust is just like the school construction authority that was created to do construction in public schools. But the difference here is, like, so in the legislation, there's no contingency plan where city council can step in an emergency and allocate public funding. So if the trust starts to default on the debt, which is kind of likely actually, because the debt, based on other examples like the MTA, is likely to balloon over time, it's likely that the trust will default. But this particular like safety valve where city council can step in is not written into the legislation. And that's a key difference with the school construction authority. And so this is like the short way that I kind of explain this, right, is this is about opening up NYCHA properties to loan sharks and kneecapping elected officials and residents in the process. And there's another connection to the school construction authority that came up at the hearing that assembly members, a couple mentioned, right, that creating these like sort of external state agencies also creates another level of bureaucracy where they can't even really advocate for the needs of their tenants or residents or constituencies because of this like extra layer, right, of bureaucracy. And they said that that was like one of the institutions that they had the hardest time, getting any information about what's going on, and they're dodging emails. And so this all around is just like we can call it privatization or whatever, but even when you look like really concretely at the different aspects of what they're doing here, there's nothing good about it. It's actually worse than I thought it was going to be, if that's possible.
Wow. Wow.
And Rock, I actually emailed you a little meme that I think is kind of also explains the precarity that tenants are putting themselves in. I don't know if you have it available, but I really call this financial gymnastics because it's kind of like move this over here, do this thing, flip it around, and tenants are now balancing on this very unstable pyramid that's likely to fall.
I'm gonna check my email. You guys keep talking, and if I got it, I'll pull it up.
So now, Kristen, how many NYCHA residents do you think really know what the blueprint is all about?
Yeah, good question. This came up also a lot of times at the hearing on Tuesday. So it's even Greg Russ's number, he's saying 1,100 now. That's less than 1% of NYCHA residents in the city, which mirrors what residents were saying also. I mean that, they're trying to educate themselves and a lot of it doesn't make sense. And that's a whole other thing because actually they haven't figured out a lot about the financial aspects of this plan and where the money is actually coming from. So to even move forward with the legislation is crazy, but they are also reporting that most of their neighbors haven't even heard of the blueprint plan. And again, I think Stan, you mentioned this, but the issues of holding all these things, these town halls and the hearing virtually and the lack of translation available or interpretation. I mean, even in materials, people said they didn't get anything in their mail. So a lot of people weren't even notified of this plan. And it's in the middle of a pandemic right now. Yeah. Like this is just
rushed.
Yeah, they're
right?
trying to push it through.
This was implemented proposal, and now they're pushing it out as if we supposed to say yes. And one of the biggest things is you're trying to get it to all the residents. So you say it's supposed to be on our rent statements, on the app, when you go for repairs, email, it's so many ways that it's there. But then there are people that do not have internet, do not know how to work a smartphone. You have seniors that never got iPads that they were supposed to receive from NYCHA. Then you have resident council presidents that are actually saying they don't even understand it. So, and they're in leadership,
right?
But one of the parts is public housing. It's their job to engage with us, and that's what they want to say. We engage with them, whether it's town halls, rather it's sending it through the mail, email, or however they're doing it on our apps, on our rent statements. And for that, they claim or figure, oh, we did our job. No, you didn't. You didn't, because you should be giving us the pros and the cons of this.
Right.
It shouldn't have to be other people, dissecting it, but that's what's going down. And I'm glad it's going down like that. Because they'll never, because they're trying to sell it. That's like selling a bad car, a limit to the people. I'm not going to tell you what's wrong with the car. You know what I'm saying? But this
exactly
looks good.
It's like it's deceptive, It's very, very deceptive. And adding on to what Saundrea was saying, I know that de Blasio won a suit with Verizon, because leading back to what she said, that there's a lot of NYCHA residents that do not have access to Wi-Fi and other social media outlets for them to get their benefits during this pandemic, and it was highlighted now through the remote learning. So with that, I think that's another reason why that number is so low, because of the simple fact that a lot of them do not have smartphones and, you know, other electronics to get them through to get that information pushed across. So hopefully by 2021, there should be more Wi-Fi outlets that's within the low income areas.
So when is this plan supposed to be presented to? Is it a vote that they have to vote on, or is it just something that's implemented?
Yeah, there's legislation that's been proposed at the state level to create the public trust. But right now, NYCHA is just lobbying folks. Nobody has sponsored the legislation, so but it's in motion. And at the hearing, there were a lot of assembly members that spoke out against this, and that was really great. I think Charles Barron was, you know, spot on and kind of led that. Ron Kim also, Ewan was there.
Very good.
And,
Good.
you know, just some people, you know, it was clear that there's definitely opposition shared, but the leadership, I felt like, of the Housing Committee seemed a little bit more on board. And I think to what Saundrea was saying, what we're being told by what felt like by these leaders, but also by de Blasio and NYCHA and Greg Russ, is that there are no other options. And that's just not true, right? But they're kind of just stopping the conversation there. There are no other options. This is all we got. And they're using the challenges that people are experiencing with the repair needs to justify this plan. It's really insidious.
That's what I hate most about it, is that they're tying repairs to this pilot program, to this program.
That's how
and that really shouldn't be. Now you're selling it. But you know, people want repairs, you know, so if you attach repairs to Blueprint, then people are going to assume that the Blueprint's a good thing. So I can get my repairs done. And it's insidious. It's insidious. That's sick.
That's what we went through at home.
Right.
You know, Winfield, first it was the money that they were going to receive was going to go through to NYCHA. Then they came back and said, oh, it'll be to Holmes Towers. Like, no, we sued you to get repairs.
Right.
Because we're entitled to our repairs. So it's just a scam sham.
Absolutely.
But don't you think that the actual title of the Blueprint is like a sense of a cultural appropriation? Because when they see the Blueprint is like someone to catch their eyes, they're gonna think, oh, Jay-Z Blueprint album.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I
So
mean,
it's like a sense
really
of cultural appropriation.
sure 100%, and it stimulates you when you're thinking, you know, the Blueprint, Jay-Z, right? That we've referenced that on the show. You're absolutely right. And the other problem is NYCHA breeds on ignorance, right? They breed on the fact that, you know, we're not going to read it. We don't want to sit there. We don't want to pay attention. We don't want to be involved.
The assumption, right?
The assumption, right? And what's beautiful about the assumption of ignorance is you get a lot of information. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of people that just don't want to engage in it, and it's just kind of whatever. And I mean, you guys that sit at this table, and you know, big shout out to all the other organizations, you know, Occupy NYCHA and Claudia and Cynthia and them, and how they come on the show and they really break it down. You know what I mean? Saundrea, she gets on the show, she breaks it down. Stan, you break it down so that we can get that.
Right.
And you're living it, right? So that we can get that information. And you guys that are watching, you got to understand something. If these guys are saying that and I'm just going to make it plain English. If these guys are saying that the Blueprint is bad for you, then the Blueprint is bad for you. Don't sign it. Don't agree to it. Don't vote for it.
Resist it.
Resist it. It is not in your favor. And I'm speaking to the people that don't read. I'm talking to the people that don't engage. I'm talking to the people that don't go to meetings. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to those people because we need those people too.
Yeah.
Because if you got too many of those people, everything we're doing is a waste.
Well, they're actually counting on those people to not. I mean, if they don't know, and it sounds good, and they sell it, you know. And I've talked to some residents, and I had a couple of disturbing conversations with residents who are like for it. And I'm like, so what is it that you're for? And do you really understand it?
Right.
And then there's this too much trust, placed into these people. Like they won't do what you're saying they're gonna do. They're not gonna kick us out of our homes. They're gonna do the work, and it's not nearly as bad as you say. And I'm like, I mean, look at what you've been dealing with all this time. What do you mean it's not bad? You know, they're treating you bad now. So somebody treating you bad is not gonna all of a sudden treat you good.
It doesn't get better.
And sadly, our seniors, some of them, I'm not gonna speak for all, but they don't have to fight. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They don't have to fight. So we have to, you know, myself in my 50s, you know, we got the people in the 30s and 20s, you know, we have to galvanize and come together. And thank goodness that we have allies, right? Because it's not just residents of public housing at the forefront of this fight. We also have non-residents, from CUNY to
Right,
Justice,
right.
we can name a whole lot of organizations that, are fighting for us. But, but our seniors are being preyed on.
Yeah, they
You know
are.
what I'm saying?
The
So
predatorial.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Kristen, how can we beat this? How do we? What's the strategy we can employ to defeat the blueprint?
Yeah, that's a great question. The legislation, I think the legislation at the state level right now, asking folks to vote no on that or to oppose it outright right now so it never hits the floor. And I think we might start doing that. It's like making the rounds and making the phone calls to these state representatives, encouraging other folks to do that. I know a lot of people actually were doing that in the lead up to the hearing, but we want to sort of systematically track, where state legislators fall on this plan. And we'll be meeting with GNRS on Monday, actually Justice for All Coalition and CAV, and he's specifically is a deputy majority leader and he's a veteran in the state legislature. And so I think I'm going to ask him point blank if he's willing to help us whip votes, because this is a bad deal for public housing, and we certainly need to look more closely at something more like the Green New Deal for public housing, right?
yeah.
Absolutely.
And one thing we need to keep our eye on is this vote.
Yeah.
We need to see who voted for us and who voted against us.
Right.
And who voted against us, we getting them out.
That's right.
We're going to vote them out, because if you don't care about our livelihood, and we're talking about a disinvestment for decades, because I grew up in McKinley houses, as a young girl into a woman till I moved out and I moved to Parkchester. But I grew up and it was nice. It wasn't nowhere. I go back to my old development and it's really bad over there. You know what I'm saying? And then I left Parkchester because I knew I could afford to live a little better at 30% of my income instead of paying the rent I was paying. So I went back into NYCHA at a good development that's actually deteriorating.
Right. So now, Kristen, what rights will the tenants lose if the blueprint moves forward? What kind of rights will we lose?
Well, I think right now we have to understand that public housing residents have some of the most robust rights in the country, right? And Ilona Diverge really is the expert on that. But under the 964 regulations, residents have a right to be involved in all of these decisions that are being made. And actually, those rights are being broken right now by NYCHA moving so quickly with these plans. And one of the interesting rights that's under 964 is not just like that they have a right to have a say in the future decisions of their properties, but is also resident management corporations, right? That is written into those regulations and is an option. So would be like residents actually becoming the management companies in a sense, or collective, management of those properties. And HUD actually, these were a thing in the 80s and in the 90s, and it was written into legislation in the 90s by Bill Clinton, and HUD did an evaluation of 11 of them in 1992. And they found that these, especially when residents were in complete control of the properties, and NYCHA or the Housing Authority, not in New York City, the Housing Authority, was completely cut out from the plan. They the properties were just in general better managed. Like in terms of finances, they saved money, but the properties looked nicer, right? There were lower evictions, lower turnover rates, higher, social services from like childcare to daycare to senior services to scholarship programs, after youth programs. And then like on NYCHA properties, there are some storefronts. And so there were also like tenant-owned businesses also. And in one instance, actually, the Resident Management Corporation formed a real estate entity that bought up property around the development, to help stabilize those small businesses as well that were renting in that area, right?
What state was this in that you're referencing?
What is it?
What state was this in? The public housing?
It was in a few different ones. I think they have them in New Jersey, St. Louis.
Okay.
Yeah. they grew out of like the 60s and the civil rights movement and the welfare rights movements, and people were really upset about repairs at the time, same things that people are pissed off about now.
Yeah.
And so they started organizing around these resident managements,
Chris,
you know, and creating
give me 1 second, because apparently you said some powerful stuff that I wasn't paying attention to in the chat room. I just got to go to the chat room real quick and let me see what's happening, because you said some stuff. Katrina Barnes says, public trust, New York State, new development agency, private for profit, Goldman and Sachs.
Yep, call it what it is.
Let's see. Bankers head the public trust. That's Katrina. Cynthia says, Rad Pact and Blueprint all involves a mortgage. The difference is the bank under the Blueprint actually has to appoint NYCHA to manage the repairs all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's a problem.
And she continues on and says, NYCHA is incapable of handling repairs. Now, why would you appoint them back into managing NYCHA? You have Tamika Mapp says, we all need to come together to fight this. When we all come together, we will win. And then she said, we need to call all of our elected officials, offices, to tell them, no, we need to send letters to all of our elected officials, and then we need to knock on our neighbors' doors and educate them.
Yeah.
She's active.
I mean, this is critical. I mean, it really is critical. Absolutely critical.
Yeah, she's an elected official.
Oh, okay, that's all right. Big shout out to that's Katrina Barnes. Tamika Mapp. They had to let me know you was an elected official, and I'm sorry for my ignorance of me might not knowing who you are. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I keep Saundrea Coleman on my left, so she could be like, yo, Rock.
No.
Let me know what's happening.
So let me ask you, Kristen. So do you see, or do you feel that coalitions are coming together now to fight this? I mean, have you seen a change in terms of us all working together to defeat this plan?
Yeah, actually it was pretty like amazing and maybe beautiful in the lead up to the hearing, because I think, you know, all these organizations have had loose connections, like the Movement School and CICA, Holmes Isaac. You know, we've all been kind of orbiting and working together sometimes and then apart at other times. And then in the lead up to the hearing, I feel like there was a vacuum or something. You know, there were a series of meetings, organizing meetings to sort of coordinate across groups. Some documents that we made for our tenants sort of circulated citywide, but then also like folks from the rezoning, no rezoning movement also came out. Some spoke at the hearing, but a lot of folks also participated in doing tenant outreach on the Lower East Side. And so, yeah, I feel like the housing movement is coalescing. I know there's a no rezoning or stop racist rezonings press conference on Wednesday at City Hall at noon. And I know a lot of folks from the no privatization of public housing movement are going to be down there in support of that. And so it does, you know, 2021 is heating up to be a big year, in part because there's also all these elections happening. There is a real sort of opportunity to put the brakes on a lot of these plans and get some new leadership and a different kind of political will in office.
Yeah.
I just want to say something real quick, because, you know, we broadcast this thing and we do it on Facebook, and, you know, all over the country, a lot of people actually listen to us, and especially when we repost and everything. So I'm speaking to Atlanta particularly. Here's the deal, y'all. Joe Biden's job is not complete. His election is not complete. If you want him to be effective, y'all need to get out there and vote that Democrat that y'all got down there into office so that the Democrats can control the Senate. Right? And then Kamala makes the deciding vote.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to say that if y'all want change, don't sleep on what just happened because you elected Joe Biden, right? We need we need Atlanta, straight up, just Atlanta, to complete the job. So then a lot of initiatives that do affect public housing and in a world of events, President Biden can get through Congress without the fight and without the obstructionist right? Because they're
right.
obstructionist, right? And here's what I say about that. If you're an obstructionist, you are against the people, right? It's like the government is against the people. You know what I'm saying? We're not getting benefits now and unemployment and all this stuff. That's because y'all can't figure it out. That's literally the government against the people. And
they
at one point,
it ain't that they can't figure it out.
they don't care.
They don't
Right.
care.
Right? It's like, no, I can't get my thing through, so whatever.
Them out.
You got to vote them out. So I just wanted to make that comment in the middle of this because it's really important in order for us to do what we need to be doing.
And I also want to say, once Biden takes office, I'm definitely going to be looking to see who he appoints over HUD, and then the pressure's going to be on them. You know, so we're not going to let up and think that just because he's in there, that all of a sudden it's going to be all we want it to be. We're going to have to pressure him, you know, to really, really deliver, you know, so that we can have fully funded public housing and more public housing. They should repeal the fair cost, and get rid of that. Because we're going to need more public housing, more so now than ever, with all the people that's going to be homeless and can't afford apartments, you know. So we don't need to stop building public housing or get rid of it. We need more of it.
It's already imploded, and I can't imagine.
You got to vote Mitch out.
You got to vote. And Mitch is ridiculous. First of all, he's too old. He's a skeleton. Him and Nancy, I'm just saying, they're both skeletons, like relics from another era, another time. We need new blood.
Absolutely.
We got relics. They're relics. It should be in a museum.
Yeah. So, Kristen, can you let folks know that it's not just NYCHA residents that can have an impact on this fight, you know? And so why would it be important for people that don't live in NYCHA to also call their representatives to find out where they stand on this bill?
Yeah, I mean, I think the privatization of public housing really or another way of thinking about it is the expansion of the affordable housing industry into public housing. So a lot of the things that we've already been seeing with like privatization and these big private equity companies coming in and, you know, spurring gentrification of neighborhoods, right? This is moving now through some of these same actors are now moving through public housing, and the loss of public housing, or rather we see that these plans are going to cause displacement, and so the eventual loss of public housing is coming, and that will really affect the whole city, right? Not only because the displacement is inhumane in general, right? And there's all the human quality of it, but like financially, that would be really devastating for the city as well. Already we've seen a drain on public funds for education, right? And transportation, and, and when you throw a bunch of people out of their homes and they now need to rely on these systems like the homeless industrial complex, right? There's a lot of public money that's now being drained into sheltering people because we're not willing to provide decent and affordable homes. But that's also draining money that could be used for other resources towards improving people's lives in general, right? So this is a fight for everybody. But I mean, I think beyond all of that, right, the inhumane quality of this, like where are we as a society? And I think, what society do we want to live in? This is just, disastrous.
Yeah, I mean, what's the benefit? I mean, there's obviously a benefit to disenfranchised people. It's not a benefit to the disenfranchised, but it is a benefit to the oppressors, right? Yeah. What they want to do, and that's kind of what we got to understand, right? If you understand that these people ain't your friends, right, and they throw you a bone once a week and do all that, then you will understand what your true fight is. Yeah. But as long as if you don't understand and recognize your enemy, and that your enemy, no matter what their tactic is, it's always without you in their best interest, right? Right? They always say that when you sit at the table, right? If you're not sitting at the table, that means you're on the menu. That's right. You're food. You know what I'm saying? And one night your residents, we're food on the table because we're not sitting at the table. And that's the issue. So and I'm speaking to y'all who, the blueprint's okay and rad, what's so bad? It's all bad, okay? It's all bad, y'all. Stop looking to these people to help you. They're not trying to help you. They are trying to hurt you.
Bring us to the table.
Bring us to the
Let
table.
us be the decision makers. Let us
Correct.
be the head of the table.
Right.
You know.
Let's get off the menu, y'all,
Mhm.
and let's sit at the table and stop being food.
Because we know what we
Right. Who else knows better?
Who knows better than the NYCHA resident?
Right.
And then, interesting enough, Cynthia said, currently, Louisiana has an awesome resident management program corporation, which I guess they're down there managing their own developments.
Showing that it can be done.
And
they don't want it to be done here, but that's what it is. They don't want it to be done.
Right. And we are New Yorkers. We go out of town, like, we from New York. Well, okay, you know what? We from New York.
Yeah, but we don't have no power.
Well, we ain't got no power.
Right.
We got a name with no power. We need to get engaged in that. We need to manage our own developments.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Control the money.
Right.
Control the budget.
That's right.
Fix our own, right? If we're there and you live there, then you're gonna fix your, you're gonna vacuum your own carpet. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
That's so true.
Like this is what we need to be doing. So, I just wanted to talk to those people.
Attending your community board meetings. That's a government agency. Get involved.
That's right.
And think about it. New York gives the most money to Congress.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, Kristen, you have any last remarks you wanna make, and some points you want to drive home to our listeners?
I don't know. I mean, just call your state representatives. I think also, for anybody who wants to get involved, you can email us if you want, and we're happy to put you in touch with, through the network of organizations and activists who are organizing in Western Queens and across the city. There's definitely something for everybody to do, even if you've never done this work before or been involved in something like this. So just get involved, I think, and hold the blueprint.
All right. And what I have to put up, and Saundrea is going to talk about this because I don't know exactly what this is. Matter of fact, I do know what it is because I signed up for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I signed up for it because I thought it was dope.
You signed up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got my ticket, girl. I got my ticket. It was free.
Everybody needs to.
Yeah. Wow.
Flyer.
I'm going to show the flyer right now. Bam! There it is. Attention tenants. 2020 Worst Landlords Watch List virtual launch.
Tuesday, December 15th at 10:30 a.m.
Now, what is this about?
Public Advocate's office.
Oh, okay.
This is from Jamani. This is Jamani's thing.
Yeah. Oh, I sent them some tenants, that's supposed to be on the show.
Yeah. Jamani Williams is hosting this thing.
Yeah.
And so, Saundrea, what is this exactly?
It's a launch, and it's going to highlight the worst landlords of the city. So tune in. That's all I'm going to say is tune in.
Are you going to be on it too?
Just tune in,
All right.
people. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. So where can we tune in?
You have to go to.
I'm going to the flyer. I'm going back to the flyer.
RSVP at advocate.nyc.gov. And you can also RSP Worst Landlord 2020. We'll drop it in the chat. Eventbrite.com. So check it out.
So is Jamani going to be, or is he going to be on it? Or you don't know?
Yeah, he will.
He will. Okay. All right. Okay.
So I think we need to.
We see this every year, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But nobody in public housing goes to jail.
Right.
We always are at the top, but no one goes to jail.
Right.
And we need to abolish qualified immunity,
Right.
move them under the cloak of immunity. That's what we need to do. They need to be prosecuted.
And we need to give them a
criminal.
statute. They need to get a statute.
Right. Like Trump and them said back then, lock her up. We should be doing the same thing to a lot of these.
This criminal.
Because you're killing people.
Yeah. Mold, mildew, lead poisoning.
Sure.
I mean,
you're killing people.
you had some people in Queensbridge, right?
Yeah, we had Queensbridge. There's folks, in addition to having lead, there's people without heat now. Yeah. There's more gas allergies out there besides 104 Astoria. So it's it's just incredible what people are living through.
Will kill you.
Yeah, literally.
Well, you ain't got to kill everybody with a gun.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I can kill you with the environment.
Even the stress.
Yeah, sure.
Even the stress.
Yeah.
I'll kill you with the environment. Kill you with the stress you out, kill you heart attacks,
right?
Stroke you out,
make
blood pressure.
Unable to fight back. Yeah. You're so overwhelmed that you can't fight back.
Yes, and you lose the will to do that.
And let's not talk about the intimidating letters they send out.
Yeah,
exactly. Suckers.
Yeah. Well, we're not afraid.
They watch us though. Believe you me.
I know.
They watch us.
Oh yeah, I know. I get the occasional email.
Yeah.
Then I'm like this. Paying attention, aren't you?
Well, that's good.
That's good because they need to pay attention. Because you know what? Because this is real, and the whole idea of the show was to unite all of the organizations that in this NYCHA fight, right? And what we have to understand is it's simple. Yes, we have a lot of differences, 100%. There's no doubt. But what we have to focus on is what we actually have in common. And we take that common goal and we fight against that, right? And then we'll deal with the differences later. But you got to have a victory first before you can deal with the differences, right? Don't screw it up before you get to the goal line. Let's talk football.
Right.
Right? If I don't like the wide receiver and I hate the quarterback and so on and so forth, we don't argue at the 50-yard line when we got the ball.
Right.
We throw the ball, make the touchdown, and then we fight on the sidelines.
Right.
Talking about football, did you see?
We do our
yesterday
differences.
with Florida with
What happened?
do a shoe. One of the Gators. That's a whole nother show.
Oh Lord, we're gonna talk about
Somebody
that.
possibly ruin their career.
But that's kind of the
College
deal.
football.
That's the deal, guys. You know what I'm
we can
saying?
win.
And we can win.
We can win. I want to really stress that we can win this fight. So it's not out of our control. We can win. Pressure the state senators, all those who don't live in NYCHA. Now we need you too. If you got family in NYCHA, or if you just care about affordable housing and a just city, then join this fight and call your state representatives so that we can stop this plan from moving forward.
Yeah.
It's
City council
insidious.
and assemblymen.
Absolutely.
All of them. Assemblymen, assemblywoman.
Now,
Let's see what side.
big shout out to Jaja Taylor. Jocelyn, she's there, right? She said, you get tired of fighting sometimes. And Tamika Mapp responded. She said, I totally understand. And it's turning tiring, but we must continue to fight.
Yes.
Our children, housing is on the line. Our children in housing is on the line.
Absolutely.
And I just want to say, it's not that I can't read. I can't see. I need to wear glasses, and I haven't come to terms with my blindness. That's all that's happening. So, it was like, he reads my stuff messed up. So we hit the hour mark, y'all, and we're about to switch over to Stan's town meeting, right? We're doing the Meet Stan Morse town meeting. Anything you guys want to talk about that you're doing during this week? Saundrea? Anything new happening? I know it's the holiday, so it might not be nothing. It just could be you cooking.
Well, we
What's
do
happening?
have a guest next week,
Okay.
Brent O'Leary.
Yes, Ben O'Leary, one of the many running in District 26, I believe. So yes.
Okay.
Brent O'Leary.
Stan just finish it up.
Yeah, so Brent does a lot of great work, and we work with so many of those who are running, and I like them all. We work with them all. He's one of them that's been doing an incredible amount of work, giving out mutual aid and really serving the community and standing in the gaps, when these elected officials aren't doing it, so we're going to bring you on, Brent. We're going to talk NYCHA, we're going to talk Queens, and we're going to have a good show.
Yeah.
Excellent day.
And I will be emceeing our 100th day at US for BLM on Friday.
Beautiful.
So as one of the organizers, and yes, so Brent will be receiving his finalization email soon. I got the picture and everything, so all his logistics is done. So we just got to get him the email. And he's coming on.
He's coming in live?
He's coming in person.
Okay. I'll see you next week, Brent. I'll probably see you during the week, but I'll definitely see you here.
That is so dope.
Yeah.
Number one intern, Shana-Kay. What do you got going on this week? And talk to me.
Honestly, my week is just going to be closing up with, school, and that's it.
That's it. You're
Yeah,
done.
that's
Huh?
pretty much it. I'm done.
And you're done here, actually.
Graduating?
Yeah.
Give us some.
Hold on. You graduating, girl? Hold on.
We got our own.
I'm going to play the beat, too.
What degree?
Love
What would
that.
your
I'll be
degree
having
be?
my degree in urban studies.
What?
Beautiful.
Oh,
It's
man.
going to be a Bachelor of Arts.
Okay.
A bachelor's of
Bachelor of
urban
Arts
studies. That's great.
Beautiful. So dope.
All right. Okay.
Well, I mean, I know that also means that you're at the end of your internship, technically.
Mhm.
And I just want to extend the invitation that you can stick around, kid.
I love that. I
saying?
love that.
A
For sure, I
great
will be sticking
job.
around.
Yeah,
Saying
you
it's
ain't,
been,
So
it's
there's a
going to be
lot more I
hard.
feel like I need to do.
yeah, you can stick around and figure out where this thing goes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you've been great and you've been
Yeah.
efficient. You've been, and
Yeah.
you've helped Stan tremendously.
Oh, absolutely.
So
And me
Yeah.
as well.
And
Saundrea
Saundrea.
as well. Yeah,
So,
she showed up. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, you can keep it going. You know what I'm saying? See
Yeah.
where this thing goes. You've come to the podcast. You ran a show. You're about to run another show, by the way. And so
And this work goes on your resume, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this work you're doing
So I'm
and
glad for
beyond.
it.
So that's good.
So, all right, y'all, because the other Zoom meeting is about to start, which is automatic. So I'm going to punch out. Kristen,
Hey.
Do you
Thanks for
have
having
anything
me.
else to say before I punch out?
I'll just say, yeah, make sure you press on the state legislation right now, because after that it goes to HUD, and that's a much more difficult fight. So if we want to stop this, state legislators right now start making the phone calls, the emails, send letters. It's very possible to stop this plan. Very, very possible.
Stop the blueprint, right? I
Right.
know there's a hashtag halt, but stop is even
Right, we need
better.
to stop.
That's
And
true.
abolish it.
Halt just means
It's like a pause.
yeah.
Right, we
We
want
don't
it to
want to
be
pause this sucker. We want to stop it. So let's start the new hashtag. Stop the blueprint.
absolutely.
Get it going, Kristen.
100%, 100%.
Coming on.
I got you.
Thanks for coming out. And
One night
thanks a
show,
lot.
one people.
One night show. One night show.
One night. Come on, Rob, do it. One night.
One night show, one people.
One night show.
I just saw the chat. Oh, I just saw the chat. Oh, Kristen, you born January 3rd?
Yeah.
Oh, right on to the break of dawn. Okay. That's it. That's my man Jeff. We calling for the next show. Listen, man. Well, happy birthday. We'll talk over the holidays, okay?
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
Thank
Thanks for having me.
Everyone. Thank you for coming out.
Awesome. See y'all in a minute.
Thank you.
For sure.